We keep doing videos on UF's quarterback battle, and you guys keep making them the most watched videos on the channel, so we're back with another one. This time, we're inviting on a national expert to provide some perspective. JD PicKell is back with us to share his thoughts on what the Gators will do this summer and in the fall at the quarterback position. Okay, so JD, tell me your overall impressions of quarterback play as a whole in the spring game.
So from the spring game, when I saw Graham Mertz have a quiet pocket and have time to throw and time to drop back and just really play the quarterback position, I was really impressed. Thought he made a lot of accurate throws, a lot of good decisions. When guys were open, I thought he hit them in stride. Now, the other side of that is he didn't necessarily have a clean pocket as much as you'd probably like if you're a Florida Gator fan. I mean, but Jack Miller, I was really impressed with him. I thought going into the spring game, he kind of had a bad rap because the sample size for him with Florida fans was the one bad spring game a year ago, in the bowl game where you have like 25 of your teammates not playing, and so he's kind of thrown out there to the dogs. So there was kind of this negative perception of him, and you're hearing Billy Napier say, hey, there's a quarterback battle going on, and Florida fans, I would imagine, are kind of, are you sure? We brought in Graham Mertz, who started games. We got Jack Miller, who hasn't done anything.
Right.
And so to go out and play the way he did in the spring game, I think he was like for 19, fairly efficient. I thought he created really well with his legs. I'm just fascinated to see what offense demands at the quarterback spot. If it's going to be a thing where, hey, Graham Mertz, you're going to be able to throw on time. You'll have a clean pocket. Or if it's, hey, we may have a leaky offensive line this year. Graham Mertz, your football, but Jack Miller, that mobility element is going to be crucial. So I was impressed with both guys when they had the right circumstances. Also curious to see what this wild season of the second portal window has to offer. So it should be fun.
Well, and that's that, fans are concerned about the quarterback battle. They saw the spring game. They didn't necessarily love what they saw. The reports that were kind of few and far between that came out of practice weren't really necessarily glowing about either guys. But are you concerned that there still is a quarterback battle, or do you think that that's the smart thing for Napier to do, given that he doesn't know a whole lot about the talent that he has yet?
Yeah, I think it's very fair. I mean, Graham Mertz has only had 15 practices with those guys and gone through winter conditioning. So I think the sample size is sort of small on him. I was going through it just now because you were talking about it. Asked the Florida fans, like, hey, do you think your starting quarterback's currently on your roster? And it's going to be recency bias, but 70% of the votes, and there was like 200 plus, said, we want to go to the portal and get our quarterback. And so I'm like, all right, that's a small sample size. Let this thing bake. But yeah, I mean, I think it just goes to show that the unfortunate reality of a fan demands what they demand at Florida. That's just it's going to be something that they have to address going forward. And I think it kind of let it run and let it happen.
So, do you expect that Florida will go to the transfer portal for a quarterback for this season, or do you think that that is kind of a pipe dream for fans?
I think if the right guy were to jump in there, they'd be excited about it. Malik Murphy is a guy that I think is probably going to be talked about until this portal window closes because he had such a great spring game at Texas, and there's conversation around, well, hey, maybe he should get out there. Arch Manning's going to play there. I think it'd be phenomenal. I think that'd be phenomenal. I would love if they were to grab a guy like that, or maybe even Ben Bryant. We'll see what the demand is for him. But I would say this for Florida fans, I don't think you need to reach for a guy to bring somebody in to, be somebody who can start with no spring practice, because that in itself, I think, is difficult. So I'm excited to see what they do during, fall camp and get a better feel for it. So that'll be curious.
Well, and that was going to be my next question. Is it realistic to think that Florida can go to the transfer portal and get a guy who can come in without having the benefit of spring practice, only have fall camp, and have a legitimate shot to start?
Yeah, it's a very fair question. And it kind of goes back to that same thought around, well, how talented is this guy and how down bad do you think we are? Like, I think if there's nobody in the portal that's overwhelmingly exciting or doesn't check all the boxes for the coaching staff, like, I think it's very fair to say, hey, we got Graham Mertz, played a lot of football. We got Jack Miller, who has a different skill set, but was also highly recruited out of high school and has a lot of talent. And, we're kind of going to roll with these guys and be fine with it. Because like you said, I mean, spring football is so crucial because you can all these installs. And I mean, I can speak from personal experience, having shown up as a graduate transfer to another school and not had spring ball. I was only playing receiver, so I'm trying to figure out like some of these positions, whereas quarterback's got to learn the entire offense in a matter of like 2 months. So I think that'd be a tall task. But if you do find like the exact right fit for you, there may be some value in it. But if not, I think it's fine to go with Mertz or go with Miller. I think you can okay with both those guys.
We've talked about UF's offense having good playmakers in previous videos on this channel. They have two really good running backs. They have an O-line that we think is going to have pretty decent depth. Do you think that UF can score enough to win games with a game manager at quarterback?
I think so. I think when you look at last year's, it's spectacular, right? I mean, like, just won the game against and had so many performances. Make play after play and having highlight reel play after highlight reel play. Those games where he's performing at like a 9 or a 10 on the 1 through 10 spectrum. And there's other games where he's throwing for like less than 100 yards or less than 200 yards and missing the layup throws. And so I think if you are able to have a better situation on defense, which I think they will with Austin Armstrong, and have more depth there, and feed Trevor Etienne and feed, like you said, Montrell Johnson, like that could be a great formula. Like just getting consistency at the quarterback position, and when we get those safeties creeping up and we got a deep shot, let's hit on it. Or, we have 3rd and 6, we need you to make the right read to make the easy throw. Great, you can do that. I think that honestly is more than enough. Than just playing complementary football as a whole would be crucial to that. Absolutely.
So there are some rumors that UF may reclassify 2025 quarterback Austin Simmons, and they may reclassify him to 2023 is the rumor. If that happens, then obviously they're just going to roll with what they've got for this year. But how does that set up the room for the future with Simmons and Lagway then coming in the next season?
Yeah, that's a curious one, because I heard that and I was like, so he's not just reclassifying to 24, it's just to 23. Like, okay, one. And yeah, great for him for having his academics in order to be able to even make this happen, for, being able to get on campus early. But my question would be, if you're Simmons, why would you want to get to campus, sit longer than you probably need to, and then also lose eligibility? Because you only get 5 to play 4. And so once he gets on campus, his internal clock eligibility-wise would start. So that to me would be curious. I would be a little bit surprised if that were to happen. But I think he'd be in a great spot if he wanted to play out his high school career, enjoy high school, go to prom, all that, and then come in 2025 class and be in good shape.
It's going to be interesting to watch. All right, JD, thanks so much for joining us. Tell everybody where they can find your work and your content.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on. Y'all have a great show. You can find any of my work on the On3 YouTube channel. You can follow me on the socials, on Instagram, on Twitter at JD PicKell. But now I'm fired up to watch y'all's Gators this coming year, and appreciate you guys again having me on this platform. Y'all do an awesome show.
Well, thanks. We appreciate you. Appreciate JD for hanging out today and these last few videos we've done with him. We've got a ton more content coming, so make sure you're locked in with the channel. If you missed either of the first two, you can click either video on the screen to get caught up.